I'd like to explain a little bit as to some of the relationships between Celebrate Messiah and Beit HaMashiach a little bit. Because I know that we have a lot of people here that come to Beit HaMashiach, or online you come to Beit HaMashiach. You may not know the greater relationships that we have as a community, and also the involvement that Celebrate Messiah has, and in particular my involvement with both Celebrate Messiah and Beit HaMashiach. So I have a PowerPoint, I believe, Michelle, if you can pop this up for me. And so I'm going to give you a quick overview, as quick as I can, of the work of Celebrate Messiah, and also a little bit about how Celebrate Messiah was established and the relationship with Beit HaMashiach. How do the two work together? So we started Celebrate Messiah back in 1995. So next year, don't go there yet. Next year we are going to have our 30th birthday. So we're going to have to do something big, I reckon, and celebrate God's faithfulness. 30 years that Celebrate Messiah was established. Some people here were some of the very first people who came to the services that we started back then. So we started the ministry, the broader ministry of Celebrate Messiah, as an organization, as a mission organization with a purpose, bringing the message to the original messengers. This was a broader vision for Australia, and then later we started to join together with work in New Zealand, Russia, Israel, and other parts of the world. So the original vision is still our mission today, bringing the message to the original messengers. Now, next slide, let me see what have I got there. So, Celebrate Messiah was established first back in 1995. That's the circle on the top left. We established the ministry first. Then, pretty much at the same time, we started a regular Friday night outreach and fellowship group, and that was in Hawthorne West in those days. And we called it then just Celebrate Messiah Friday Night Shabbat Fellowship. So it was not yet called Beit HaMashiach, just to clarify. Louise always wonders why I like to clarify that, but that's just me. So Beit HaMashiach started, first of all, back in February 1995 as a Friday night fellowship. About 3 years later, we then established it as a congregation with the name Beit HaMashiach here at Bamba Road in September, or Rosh Hashanah 1998. And we started fellowship in here on a Friday night. So we planted Beit HaMashiach. So who was here when we first started to go and have our services in Hawthorne West? Anybody here? Oh, Marcel, yes. And is that Mac at the back? My eyes are not so good anymore. And Margaret, and Nettie, and Colleen. Where's Colleen? Colleen, did you put up your hand? Yes, good. And there's a few others that were right here back in those early days. And Peter, yeah? Were you there? So back, yeah, of course, you and Adrian, definitely back in those days. Wonderful. So that's back in Hawthorne. Then we came over here and in 1998 established a congregation called Beit HaMashiach. And so I still remained as executive director of Celebrate Messiah. Louise and I, of course, the founders of Celebrate Messiah. I work as the executive director. Then, of course, we are the leaders of Beit HaMashiach too. So I have two jobs, if you like. Most people don't realize that. You come on a Saturday, see me doing this, think that's my job, and it is. It's my second job. The first job is to run Celebrate Messiah. And after that, let me just mention that in 2001, we joined together in partnership with Chosen People Global Ministries. Now, Chosen People Global Ministries, this is Celebrate Messiah's partner ministry. It was established in the United States by a rabbi who came to the Lord at the end of the 1800s in New York City. They had international work of not only in America, they had Canada, and they had Argentina and Brazil and Israel and also Germany. But there was no global network. We were the first independent ministry to join with them, and we created, together with my brother Alan, a ministry network called Chosen People Global Ministries. And then each country joins that global network as individual ministries, if you like, individual and independent ministries. And yet we form this worldwide partnership. Now we have about 23 countries around the world, and I'll show you that on a map in a minute. So that's a primary involvement that we have, is in that area of Chosen People Global Ministries. And then we planted Celebrate Messiah New Zealand back in around early 2000s. We started to go there, but in 2008 it was officially established. And that has gone on to grow and grow, and people have come like Scott Brown and his wife Margie, and they took that ministry much further than we ever would have expected in reaching out to Israeli backpackers, which has been an incredible ministry that is now, of course, we're doing it in Australia and we're doing it around the world. There are now 23 countries that have joined. So we established Celebrate Messiah. Then we established ministry in Far East Russia with our dear partner Rita, worker with us, outreach worker. Many of you know. We have Ella here, just came today for the first time. She used to be part of Dom Messi and Rita's ministry. And Ella reminded me that we immersed her probably about 20 years ago as a believer, something like that. And so that is the work amongst Russian-speaking Jews in Melbourne, but also overseas in the far east of Russia. And then we also, of course, started to get much more involved with work in Israel. I'm on the board of the work there, as I said, and every year we go, but also this congregation and Celebrate Messiah, we send finances to Israel every month to help with the various ministries there. And many of us are involved with Israel in our personal lives, with our prayers, with our involvement even locally here, supporting the Jewish community in Israel, a very important part of our work. And of course now, Celebrate Messiah has also helped plant a congregation in Sydney, in St. Ives, called Beit Shalom. Beit Shalom. Changed its name a few months ago, by the way. So it used to be Brit Chadashah, it's now Beit Shalom in Sydney. And of course, we help and partner with Hinei Yeshua in Canberra, that was started independently, later joined with Celebrate Messiah with Robert and Ellie. So that's some of the involvement. So just so you can see that Beit HaMashiach is a very important part of the work we do and how it fits in with all the other things that are going on. So I think there's another slide which will help. I don't want to go into this too much detail, but there's a wonderful relationship between Celebrate Messiah, the broader mission, and the local community, Beit HaMashiach here. This is a model that we worked off right back in 1995, that the organization Celebrate Messiah would plant a local community, a local body of believers. The local community here do a lot of amazing things. You know what? Celebrate Messiah could not achieve what it does without you, that is Beit HaMashiach. When we do an event, you are 99% of the volunteers for that event. Even our Passovers and our special Sukkot celebrations, and even last 2 weeks ago on the streets in Melbourne, Beit HaMashiach with the volunteers and the people in the music team doing all those kind of things. So there's an incredible relationship between the broader work and the local community. And I'm not going to go into too much details there, but there are various things that each entity can fulfill uniquely. And so it's a wonderful kind of symbiotic relationship between the broader mission and the local community. And I learned that the local community is so important. This is where we foster identity as Messianic Jewish believers and Gentile Messianic believers together. We are fostering community, and from community comes outreach. From community comes mission, if you like. So important. So we are part of something that is happening all around the world. And I'm very grateful for the Lord for the opportunity to be also part of the work that happens overseas. And what happens overseas and the things that God's doing, we bring back, and it benefits Beit HaMashiach. So it's a wonderful relationship. So that's a bit of what happens and the kind of involvement that we are all part of. But hopefully, especially if you're new here, you get to see the kind of organizational dynamics. So here we are at Beit HaMashiach, the local community in Caulfield, in the heart of the largest Jewish community in Australia. And God has called us, and He's given us a very specific call-in, a very specific vision here. It's not just a basic one, it's a very specific call-in that we need to keep and be true to. And that is, of course, to be a witness to Jewish people that Yeshua is the Messiah. And the way we do that is through our community. Okay, let me just go on from here to the next one. The next, okay, that's a bit of the countries around the world where there are works with Chosen People Global Ministries. Next one. This is important. I want to just finish off with this. There are 5 main areas that Celebrate Messiah is involved in: evangelism, hospitality, teaching, benevolence, and community. And of course, evangelism, quite clear, that's creative and personal, and through presentations that we do and events that we host. Hospitality, through Host Israelis Network, which is a network we've created around Australia now, and it's around the world through what we call Planet Zula. And then the local safe house, if you like, the local place of refuge, Zularu, a local place that is a happy and safe place for Israelis. By the way, we've hosted about 60 Israelis since we started Zularu, which is wonderful. And then teaching. So we have the Messianic Training Center through Celebrate Messiah, and you know about that. And that continued on with courses, and you can go online and get old courses. And also, as outreach workers with Celebrate Messiah, we get to speak in different churches around the country. Even in the last year, we've spoken about 150, 120 churches around the country. Some of you have met one of us, perhaps me, at a church somewhere in Melbourne, and that's perhaps how you found out about us and started to come to Beit HaMashiach. How many of you are in that boat? Okay, let's see, it's quite a few. All right, so that's a very important part of Celebrate Messiah, is to motivate the believers out there in the wider body of Messiah to know about the Jewish people, know about Israel, to pray for and to share the good news with Jewish people. Benevolence, another important part. You've heard of Tikkun Olam. That is our hampers that we give to needy Jewish people. Plus, we host a lunch here once a month, and that is a very powerful ministry. Community, this is where Beit HaMashiach fits in. There's Beit HaMashiach, there's Beit Shalom, and Nei Yeshua. And God willing, in time, there will be other Messianic congregations around Australia. So that's an overview of the work of Celebrate Messiah. You can see there how Beit HaMashiach fits in. All right.